Hello, and welcome to one of my very quick videos on how the disclosures work inside of ScenariosX. My name is Chad Blythe. I'm founder and CEO of PlanTechHub, and we make a software called ScenariosX. And so it's my pleasure to kind of take in and let you see what was my kind of view behind disclosures, how I see them working more for you and as you're building a financial plan. Let me go ahead and log into the system just like we normally would. I will click on our support account here. As you can see, you can have many different types of accounts that you log into, but I'm using my fingerprint scan as my pass key. That creates not just super quick access into the system, but also very secure as well. So the very first page that we come here is called the dashboard. And so this is the very first. I will kind of start off and just say, if you notice down at the bottom of the screen, there's no disclosure information. So what I want to talk about today is that when you're inside of a financial plan that's been set up for it, you can make it so that kind of digitally the disclosure, a disclosure that you can customize and default in there, a disclosure can show up that will be there at the bottom of each page. And what I mean by each page, I mean each page, meaning that if we were to go into the input page of goals, disclosures down there. If I go into a particular goal, trying to input travel goal, the disclosure is going to be down here. Let me go ahead and move my screen so you can see it better. But it says disclosure information. You can customize what it says there. You can customize the language that's here. But basically, it makes it so that the disclosure is on every single page, which is usually something someone turns on when they are sharing with clients, because you could have kind of a big disclosure and you may care whether it's down there at every screen or not, but it's completely up to you guys whether they have it in there. So to access the custom disclosure, we can do it in one of two different ways. We can access it as an advisor and kind of come down here under advisor settings. And in advisor settings, there's disclosure. And this allows us to set it for every single new plan that is inputted into the system. So anybody that comes in, whether you invited via email, whether you add them manually, whether you use the call to action feature, this will be the default disclosure that shows up there if you have it here inside of disclosure in settings. So, and what I mean that is that if I go to disclosure, you can see that disclosure text, there is nothing here. It's not enabled for print. It's not enabled for web. Let's go ahead and see what it looks like when one of those is turned on. And let's do that by going into the actual disclosure inside of the plan. So again, this is the advisor menu. So this is kind of setting a macro that applies to all plans. And this is the easiest way to default something as an advisor. But let's go ahead and go back into our financial plan here for George and Martha Washington. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go under customize, because remember, we're always building a plan, engaging the client, or customizing the process in some way, shape, or form. So I'll go under customize, and then I'll go under disclosure. And as you can see here, I have the ability to say, oh, it says disclosure. So I could put anything here. It doesn't have to say disclosure information. We could say a few things you should know, or always take this information into account when viewing your financial plan online or something like that. We can put in our disclosure text. Obviously, this is a demo account, so we just put in some text that was relevant to it being a demo account. We can determine whether it's enabled for print or enabled for web. So we're seeing the part where it's enabled for web. Very simple to turn on and off. If I want to stop it, I can click on the delete button with the trash can and then turn it back on again if I want to. But it's on for web right now. And so that's why it's on every single page. So even inside of our settings, or we're customizing our colors, the disclosure text is always there. So of course, every single page that the client is using, it's also on every single. So let's go back here to customize and into disclosure. So we can change that. We can change the text that's here. As we saw and just talked about, it's all for web. And the last thing is print. What print means is that, do we want this disclosure text also showing up when we do our snapshot? So let's say that I were to do a snapshot of this profile page, and I click on the snapshot button, which is taking kind of a view of it. And as you can see, the disclosure is down there. So what that setting means is that that can be turned off if you do not want the disclosure to be on kind of what is something that you're printing out to be just an interactive page with the client for them to take notes on, for you guys to mark up together before accessing or playing around more with the digital portion of the plan. That's a simple way of doing it, so you can determine, again, whether you want that to show up on those print pages or not. Here under customize, under disclosure, and again, you can turn off print if you want to. You can turn off being on the web as well if you want to. Well, thanks for joining me today. And if you have any questions, definitely check us out in our YouTube channel, see more of these videos. And then, of course, if you haven't already, check out a free trial of the software, and we'd be more than happy to answer any questions about it or step you through the process. Thanks for joining us.